I got a steel plate target down the hill there. Let's see if this gun's got any hunting accuracy, if a guy wants to take one of these things hunting for a fairly long distance. Got plenty of accuracy to hog or deer hunt with. If there was one single pistol that could be surmised as America's best fighting gun, it'd be the 1911. This thing is almost 120 years old. It's been in 2 world wars, Korea, Vietnam, all kind of other conflicts. You know, even special ops guys and some law enforcement people still use this thing. But this model here is a Springfield Garrison, and let me talk about what I like about it and a few things I don't. I've owned a lot of different 1911 pistols over the years. I've owned some GI versions that are just really plain Jane, pretty much what they carried back in World War I and World War II. And I've had some really fancy models that have had, you know, rails down here or serrations up front to cock, ambidextrous safeties and all that. You know, this gun right here is the Springfield Garrison, and I would say it's a good combination. It doesn't have all that fancy stuff you don't really need, but yet it does have a few good things about it that makes it a lot more comfortable and shootable. So I've owned a lot of guns, and I think this is probably the favorite 1911 I've had. Now, this particular Springfield Garrison model I have is chambered in 45 ACP. That's the original handgun chambering of the 1911. So you can see that's a 9mm on the right, but 45 ACP has got a lot more recoil to it, and it's a bit more difficult for inexperienced shooters to shoot. Let me run through these steel plates, and I used to have a lot more. Somebody stole a couple of them. I think I mentioned that on another video, but I'll be shooting some Winchester 230 grain full metal jacket ammo. And let me start out shooting these plates at 45 feet. I've got these bowling pins here. They're really fun to shoot. Now I've shot these, or my group has shot these pins hundreds of times, so they're full of lead. They're pretty heavy, but I just want y'all to see how good a 45 will blow these pins off a table. You know, if you shoot a 9mm or a 38 at them, it'll just tip them over. So let's do this. Well, that one didn't want to fall over, but they did a pretty good job. Well, those pins are full of lead, like I said. Normally it blows them off the table really good, but they're being a little stubborn today. Let me shoot this man target here at 21 feet. I'll shoot a magazine of ammo at it fairly fast. Let's see the accuracy at self-defense distances. You know, that wasn't a super tight group, but shooting fairly fast, that's right pretty much where you want them, so I'm happy with that. You know, the 1911 pistol has had a lot of different things done to it since it was invented, but for the most part, it's a lot of it hadn't changed. And there's some, like I said before, there's some really fancy models. It's got a lot of extra stuff that I don't care for. But this particular model, you know, is a little bit more than your basic GI model, but it's got just enough on it that it makes it really shootable for me. A few things I want to mention about this gun, and I'm kind of comparing it just to a basic GI gun right now, but it's got the extended thumb safety on the other side. That safety there is a little bit bigger than what the old GI gun had. I really like it's got Novak sights on them, snag-free sights, which, you know, I love those things. Of course, you can replace them if you want to do that. The hammer has been skeletonized, so it's a little bit faster and lighter, and it doesn't snag on clothes like the old style hammer. Probably the thing about this gun I like the most is the extended beavertail grip safety. I've got big hands, and if I shoot the old GI gun, this thing starts digging into my hand and making my hand bleed, so it gets really annoying. And I can shoot thousands of rounds out of this thing, and it is just as comfortable as the first shot. This gun here also has a match grade stainless barrel. It's a typical 1911 with a government 5-inch length barrel. It's got the GI recoil system in it. It weighs 37 ounces, and of course it's a single action trigger pull. The only thing bad about this gun that really bugs me, it's got a good crisp trigger. It breaks crisp, but it's got a stout trigger pull of about 6 pounds, just a little bit under 6 pounds. And I could send that back to Springfield and they'd fix that. That's real easy to fix, but I usually shoot double action revolvers, so I'm kind of used to a strong trigger, so I can live with it. This particular gun has got hot salt bluing, and I'll say right now, I've carried this gun and I have shot thousands of rounds through this thing, and it is holding up really, really well. In fact, there's a few places, I live in a real humid environment. There's a few places where the bluing's rubbing off, but considering how much that gun has been carried and been outside, it's really holding up well. I'm very impressed with that. Springfield 1911s have got forged steel frames and slides, where a lot of other guns have gone to cast. So, anytime you can get forged steel over cast steel, that's a good thing. So I really like that about Springfield 1911s. These wood grips are, they're slim grips, and they're really pretty, really beautiful to look at. They've got the crossed cannon logo on them. For my big hands, they're a little bit small, but they are beautiful to look at grips. For those that are familiar with shooting a big 45 ACP 230 grain ball ammo, it's not like shooting a 9mm. You got to grip that thing pretty stout. You've got to have a good grip to control it, but it's really easy to control in this gun, and it's a gun that anybody can shoot with a little bit of practice, and it's pretty accurate. I didn't show it in the video, but shot off sandbags at 25 yards. I'm getting about 3-inch 5-shot groups. That's not amazing, but that's, with plain old Winchester ball ammo, that's pretty good. I'm happy with that. If I was doing any kind of bullseye competition or something, I definitely want better, but for what I use this gun for, I'm really happy with it. Really, the only thing I don't like about this gun is the fact that the trigger pull is almost 6 pounds. And one of the 1911's best assets is having a good trigger, and a 6-pound single action trigger is just too heavy in my opinion. And I can shoot a whole lot better with a lighter trigger. So, that would be, that's really not a fault of the gun. That could be easily fixed. But I don't like that, and as I mentioned before, I've got really big hands, and those slim grips are beautiful, but they don't fill my hand. My hand kind of wanders around in there, and I think the thicker grips fit my hands a whole lot better. But this gun is bone stock. The only thing, other than being bone stock, the only thing I've done is replace the front sight with a tritium sight, and I painted it orange. But Comes with Novak sights, and you know, I'm just really happy with this. You know, I've got several thousand rounds through this gun, and the only time it's ever malfunctioned was in the first couple of hundred rounds when I was breaking it in. That's pretty normal with most 1911s, so you know, I am really happy with that. As far as a you know, what I wanted this gun for, you know, it's you know, mostly a defensive pistol, and like I said, there's probably not another gun in the world that has such a track record as the 45 ACP, especially in 1911. So I wanted it for that. But I will say this too, is, you know, carrying this thing around outdoors all the time, I have shot a lot of wild hogs with this gun. I don't think it's the best hog hunting gun. I much prefer a 44 Magnum or 10 millimeter, but you know, in a pinch, in the right circumstances, it has done the job many times for me, so I'm really happy about that. I've got some Fiocchi jacketed hollow point ammo for this. Let's see what these water jugs do. They weren't as impressive as the 357 Magnums. I shot at jugs the other day. Let me show you a clip of that video, and just to see the difference. Let's shoot these water jugs with the 357 Magnums. I like to carry this gun in a leather Galco Avenger holster. In my opinion, this is the best 1911 holster ever made. There's been many versions, different brands, you know, make this, but this thing carries right by your side, you know, with a good gun belt. You don't know it's on there. It's out of the way. It's slim, you know, it's right there. You can wear it outside working, or if you want to conceal it, very easily concealed. But that holster's seen a lot of miles on it. That's a good one right there. You know, America won 2 world wars with a 1911. We fought Korea, we fought Vietnam, and there's even special ops guys that carry models of 1911s today. I can't help but look at this thing and get a little bit patriotic. 45 ACP is an old round, but it does its job as good as any other. I hope you guys like this. Matt Boyette, Buckhorn Hill. I'll see you next time. Please like it and subscribe.